Hey guys, what's up? It's Rachel here with another video, and in today's video I wanted to do something involving my palettes because I have so many of them, and I thought what would happen if someone said they were going to take every one of my palettes, but I only had like a certain many. What would I keep out of all of my palettes? What palettes am I gravitating toward the most? What palettes excite me? What palettes inspire me? Just what would I keep out of all of my palettes? So I picked out the ones that I would keep, and some of these are older, some of these are somewhat newer, but honestly they're not like new, like what just released. So let's go ahead and get started. The first palette I want to talk about, I'm sure you're going to click off the video when you see this palette. I know everybody talks about this palette, everybody raves about this palette, but I'm a big believer in this palette, and this is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and it looks like this. I have hit pan on some of the shades. Mine is dirty. I use the crap out of it. A lot of times what I really like to do, speaking with this palette, I like to use the mattes in here because the transition shades, that's a tongue twister, the transition shades and just the outer corner shades to deepen it, it's fantastic. Now the shimmer shades, what's up Shelby? The shimmer shades in here for me, they are lacking. That's just my personal opinion, but a lot of times I don't really reach for this palette for the shimmer shades. I reach for the mattes. These red tones, these deep burgundy tones, this mustardy, orangey, peachy shade I've used the crap out of. I just love the mattes in this. Honestly, in my opinion, I feel like this palette in specific is the best formula that Morphe has come out with. So this is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. The next palette I want to talk about is a palette that I use with the Jaclyn Hill palette, and it is from Urban Decay. I forgot what this was called. Was this like the Reloaded or something shimmer? I forgot what it's called. But this is a palette that is just full of shimmers. I'm not sure if you can still get this palette. I know this palette did go on sale, but as I was saying, this is palettes that if I can only keep so many out of all my collection, what palettes would I want to keep? And this is what it looks like. It has a side of neutral shades that are all shimmer, and then it has a side that is colorful, and I have dipped into both. Honestly, with all of these palettes, I've had to put them down because I'm like, Rachel, you have more palettes. You don't need to just use these. And I was trying to branch out, but these are just palettes that I love and I cannot live without. So this is the Urban Decay palette. I'm not sure what it's called again. The next palette is from Too Faced, and also with this palette, I do use it in conjunction with the Jaclyn Hill palette, and this is the Chocolate Gold palette, and it looks like this on the outer packaging. First of all, I want to say that this hands down has to be the best chocolate bar palette from Too Faced, in my opinion. The formula is so much better. It's a palette full of shimmers, and then you have like 4 mattes, and the mattes are so creamy. I actually use the mattes in here as well. Something that I wanted to point out about this palette, every time I see people with this palette on YouTube, I watch their like declutters, and they'll open it up and they'll be like, I don't know, like I'm going to keep it, but I haven't really used it that much, and I'm thinking, wow, have you not used it? It's so good. It's like one of my favorites. But this is what it looks like. Like I said, there is a mixture of shimmers and mattes, all of these shimmers, and then you have these mattes in the corner. Very, very creamy. These shimmers have a drier texture to them, but they are very, very intense. They look wet on the lid, so this is the Chocolate Gold Bar palette from Too Faced. Moving right along with Too Faced, another palette that I wanted to talk about was the Clover palette, and this is actually a palette that it didn't really have like a lot of hype around it. Like people saw that it was coming out, but like nobody was going on and on about it. And I remember that they didn't even keep this palette out long, so it's like when they sold out, it's like they didn't even come back in stock really, and nobody was like, I don't know, it's just like it wasn't selling, or maybe it was selling, but it's just like once it's there, it's gone. And that's how I took it with this palette. That's how I pretty much took it, because it's just like there was no hype, and like I saw it once in Ulta, and then when it sold out, it's like it didn't come back in. But anyways, like I said, this is the Clover palette. Very, very pretty, cute packaging. This is really Too Faced. And then this is the colors on the inside. You have a mixture of mattes and shimmers. This is more of a colorful palette. And honestly, this is one of my favorites. I use it all the time. But like I said, with these palettes, I have been trying to because I have so many, I've been trying to use my other palettes instead of just these. But this is, like, every time I wear this, everybody's like, what are you wearing on your eyes? And it's usually this or, like I said, one of these palettes, because I do gravitate toward these the most. But I'm not sure if you can still get this palette or not, but I love it and it's one of my favorites. Another Too Faced palette that I wanted to talk about is the Life's a Festival palette. And this is the one that has the obnoxious packaging, which I really like the packaging. I like the craziness. I think it's just fun. And this is just an all shimmer palette. You do have a couple mattes. I think there's one in particular that I can only see. 1, 2. It's more of like a satin finish. But I don't know if you're going to be able to tell because of my lights, but this is what it looks like. Very, very pretty. Like with all these shimmer palettes, I like to take the mattes out of the Jaclyn Hill palette and then just use the shimmers. And that's what I specifically do with this palette. It's very, very gorgeous, very pretty. And I did see that this palette was recently at Marshall's and like a TJ Maxx sort of thing. So you can get this palette at a decent price now, so that's cool. But this is the Too Faced Life's a Festival palette, and I really, really love it. The next palette I want to talk about is from Tarte, and I was very, very impressed with this palette. I feel like this is the direction that Tarte needs to go in. This is the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself palette, and it looks like this. I have spoke about this palette in one of my previous videos, but this palette is just full of shimmers, and you have one matte. That transition shade is absolutely gorgeous, and these glittery metallic shades, they literally look wet on the eyes, and that's something that I really go for. I love this palette. Like I said, I think this is the way that Tarte needs to go. I feel like this was a hit, in my opinion. I saw recently that they had this. They just brought it back out of nowhere. It was on the Sephora website, and it may be on the Ulta's, but I'm not sure. And I saw that they also had the bundle where you could get like this palette, the brushes, and I think there's like a highlighter and two things for the lips. But if you can find this, I highly recommend you getting your hands on it. This was absolutely gorgeous. The next palette that I want to talk about is also from Tarte, and this palette is very underrated. And every time I wear it, I'm always asked, what are you wearing on your eyes? What are you wearing on your eyes? And this is the Tarte Pro palette. This is what it looks like on the outer packaging. Did y'all hear that they're coming out with a second one? I'm definitely going to get my hands on it. It looks gorgeous. It's more colorful for Tarte, but anyway, it's filled with mattes, and then on this side you have like these glittery shades, which are very, very pretty. These mattes just blend so well for me. And I have like the Tarteist palette, and there's the Tarteist and Blooms palette. Now that first one in the purple and gold packaging, I do not like that palette at all. The mattes are just really stiff, they're chalky, they don't blend well. And you know, the Tarteist and Blooms palette, that one for me, like, it wasn't much better. And I do like the warm one, the Toasted palette. But this one, this formula is what I would have wanted, like the Tarteist palette and the Tarteist and Blooms palette to be. This formula is amazing. I love this, and I feel like it's so underrated. Nobody talks about it. And like you'll see it in people's makeup collections, and they'll be like, I never use this palette. Like I said with the Too Faced one, I never use this palette. But I'm like, why not? I love it. I just love this palette. So this is the Tarteist Pro palette. The next palette I want to talk about is from NARS, and this is the NARS Wanted palette. And I did mention this in my last video. I was referring to this because I was like, something about the formula was very, very nice. One of my favorite collections, that's what I was saying. But this is what it looks like on the outside. Very, very, very pretty. I love this palette. I love this palette. Like, I have to stop myself from using this palette because I've just, like I said, I've just got so many. It's not, I feel like it's not fair. Like, give all your palettes love. But anyways, this palette is very hard to open. This is what it looks like. And the first thing that comes to mind when I see this palette is it's just very, very elegant. That's the word that comes to mind. This palette in particular has a specific formula, and it's almost like that wet cream to powder formula, which I've been all about lately. I'm talking about that Fenty Beauty highlighter that I've been just loving. But anyways, let me light. Got my lighting got a little. Maybe it did, maybe it did. Okay. I just love this palette. Like I said, it's just very elegant, very pretty. You have a mixture of those mattes and then that cream to powder formula, and I love it. I highly recommend it if you can still find this. This is one of the best palettes from NARS in a very long time. Very, very pretty. The next palette I want to talk about is from Dose of Colors, and this is the only eyeshadow palette that I have from them. Just something about the brand, like I haven't been that gravitated toward it until recently. I feel like they're starting to come out with like more collections recently. I take that back. I do have another palette. It's the Daisy and Katie Friendcation palette. I do have that palette. But this is the one that really sticks out to me, and I know I'm going to butcher her name. She is a fellow YouTuber on here. I love Sari. pretty. But this is what it looks like. It's very, very, very pretty. And on the inside you have 1, 2, 3, 4 shimmers. But this black can be a matte if you prefer. And then you have 2 mattes. And I feel like this is the perfect summer palette. Very, very pretty. But you can also use it around this time of year because you have like this darkish red shades, which I go for those. I go for those all the time. And then like this gold and inner corner transition. It's just very, very pretty. And I was out of focus. And I highly, highly recommend this if you can still get your hands on it because, like I said, this is one of my die-hard palettes. These are my die-hard favorite palettes, and I stand by this. I highly recommend it. The last palette that I'm going to talk about is actually very sad, so let's have a moment of silence. Alright? Because they do not make this palette anymore. And I don't know why. Like, I would sign a petition just to bring this palette back because this is one of the best bright palettes that I have ever seen. This is the Urban Decay Electric palette, and it looks like this. I don't know why they took this off. This was a best seller. Like, I don't know what was going on there, but anyways, this is full of pressed pigments. Pressed pigments, which means they will stain your eyes. I've used this. Every time I use this, they do stain my eyes, which I don't care. I'm not someone that minds that. But this is just absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know why they would take it off. I wish they'd bring it back. Very, very pretty. And if you can get your hands on this, like, I don't know where, maybe eBay or something, or Amazon, or I don't know. But if you can get your hands on this, I would highly recommend it because it's absolutely gorgeous. After the naked palettes, after I had bought all those, this was my first ever like colorful palette that I ever bought. And I have used the crap out of it. As you can tell, I just love it. And I can't say enough good things about it. It's very pretty. That's going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got some new palette recommendations, some palettes that you want to try that maybe have caught your eye. Like I said, these are all my die-hard palettes. Like, these are the palettes that I pick out of all of my palettes, and I have drawers and drawers full of palettes. So that's really saying a lot. Again, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.